So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a power inside you right now, quiet, steady, often overlooked, that is greater than any obstacle you'll ever face. Most people never tap into it, not because it's out of reach, but because they don't believe it's there. But I'm here to tell you something simple, something life-changing. You can if you think you can. These aren't just words, they're a law of life. They are the spark that can ignite your potential, the whisper of courage when everything around you says, give up. If you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever stood on the edge of a dream and thought, I'm not sure I'm enough, then you're in the perfect position to discover how powerful belief truly is. Because the minute you say, I can, the minute you think it, feel it, speak it, something changes. Doors begin to open, strength begins to rise, God begins to work in ways you couldn't imagine. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to have the perfect plan. What you need, what will move mountains, is the belief that you can. And once you believe that, nothing can stop you. Believing in yourself is not about arrogance or pride. It's about understanding who you are and whose you are. It's about recognizing that you were created by God with purpose, with intention, and with a spark of divine power inside you. There is nothing small or weak about you when you walk in faith. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You were formed by the Creator of the universe and placed here at this exact time for a reason. That means you have value, you have meaning, and yes, you have the ability to rise, to overcome, to succeed. Not because of your own strength alone, but because of the greater power that lives within you. When you have faith in yourself, you are really showing faith in what God has placed inside you. You're not worshiping your talents. You're honoring the one who gave them to you. Too many people walk around defeated, discouraged, and full of doubt, not because they aren't capable, but because they've never taken the time to truly believe in what God has given them. They listen to the voices of the world saying, you're not enough. And they let that noise drown out the truth that was planted in their soul before they were even born. Every great achievement starts with belief. Before the first step is taken, before the first door is opened, before the first success is tasted, there is belief. A belief that says, I was made for more. A belief that says, God didn't bring me this far to leave me now. You have that power too. It's in you, waiting to be awakened by your faith. And once you start seeing yourself not as the world sees you, not even as you've always seen yourself, but as God sees you, everything begins to change. You begin to speak differently. You begin to walk with confidence. You begin to face your challenges, not with fear, but with assurance that you are backed by the power of heaven itself. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have the most experience. What you need is faith. Faith in the one who made you. Faith in the gifts he's placed inside you. Faith that if he gave you a dream, he also gave you the strength to see it through. So stop looking at your weaknesses and start standing on your potential. Stop focusing on what you're not and begin declaring who you are. You are capable, you are strong, you are chosen, and above all, you are able. Because the one who created you never makes a mistake. Walk forward in confidence. Believe with boldness, and remember this truth with all your heart. You can, if you think you can. Your mind is the control center of your life. What you think about, you bring about. If your thoughts are filled with defeat, fear, worry, and failure, then that is exactly what you will draw into your experience. You can't think negative and expect a positive life. The thoughts you entertain every day shape your decisions, your emotions, and eventually your outcomes. It's not just theory, it's reality. If you constantly tell yourself, "I can't," then your mind will go to work proving you right. You'll notice every obstacle. You'll see every reason why it won't work. You'll attract failure not because you're not capable, but because your thoughts are canceling out your potential before it even has a chance to grow. But there's a better way. When you choose to fill your mind with possibility, when you think hope instead of fear, when you choose determination over doubt, you begin to unlock doors that once seemed permanently closed. Your circumstances might not change overnight, but your inner atmosphere will, and that's where true transformation begins. A mind that's filled with belief is a powerful force. It begins to see solutions instead of problems. It sees opportunities where others only see obstacles. It doesn't ask, "What if I fail?" It asks, "What if I succeed?" The truth is, you have the power to guide your thoughts. You are not helpless to them. You can interrupt negative thinking and replace it with truth. You can rewire your mindset to believe in growth, possibility, and God's promises. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing a higher one. Choosing to believe that even in difficulty, something good can happen. That even when the odds seem against you, you can still rise. The most successful people are not always the most talented. They are often the most determined. They keep showing up. They keep speaking life over their situation. They keep believing that things can and will change. And they do this not because everything is perfect, but because their mind is set on victory, set on progress, set on purpose. You can do the same. Fill your thoughts with strength, and you'll feel stronger. Fill your thoughts with success, and you'll start moving in that direction. Fill your thoughts with faith, and you'll invite divine power into your everyday life. It all begins in your mind. If you want to change your life, start by changing what you think about all day long. Your thoughts shape your reality, so shape them with intention, with vision, and with faith. Think positive, think powerfully, think forward, because when your thoughts rise, your life rises with them. You can reshape your world by reshaping your thinking. And when you begin to do that, you'll discover that nothing is too big, no dream is too distant, and no challenge is too great when your mind is filled with the belief that you can. Expecting good things to happen in your life is not wishful thinking. It is a powerful force that activates your potential. The way you expect determines the way you experience. If you expect defeat, you invite discouragement. If you expect nothing to work out, that attitude becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But when you rise each day expecting something good, something meaningful, something hopeful, you align your thoughts, your energy, and your spirit toward progress. Your mind begins to look for the good instead of the bad. Your attitude shifts from hesitation to readiness, and that one simple shift, expectation, has the power to open new doors in your life. What you mentally rehearse, you emotionally attract. If you see yourself as successful, as confident, as overcoming every obstacle, you start building the emotions that match that vision. Your heart begins to align with your hope. When you visualize your breakthrough, your mind gets to work to make that image a reality. And what's more, the universe, the people around you, and the God who created you begin to respond to that mindset of victory. Expectation is not only mental, it's spiritual. It's a faith declaration that says, "I believe something good is on its way." So many people walk around waiting for things to go wrong. They're bracing for failure, rehearsing rejection, expecting disappointment, and they attract it again and again, but you can choose a different path. You can be the person who walks through life with eyes of faith. You can wake up and say, something wonderful could happen today, and even if nothing seems different on the outside, that expectation begins to lift your spirit on the inside. It gives you energy, it gives you purpose, it gives you momentum. Start rehearsing the life you want to live. See yourself walking in peace, in joy, in strength. See yourself breaking barriers, conquering fear, speaking with boldness, living fully. That mental image becomes a magnet. It pulls you forward. It keeps you focused. It reminds you of what's possible. Expectation doesn't mean everything will always go perfectly. It means that even when it doesn't, you believe it's leading you somewhere greater. That kind of mindset doesn't quit. That kind of spirit doesn't break. It grows stronger with every challenge. Expecting the best doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means placing your faith in a greater reality. That goodness is chasing you, that God is working behind the scenes, that your best days are not behind you, but ahead of you. And when you truly begin to expect good things, not because of luck, but because of divine promise, your entire life begins to shift. You begin to rise, not because everything is easy, but because your belief lifts you above what's difficult. Expect more. Think higher. Believe deeper. Because what you expect with confidence, you begin to create with power. Fear is one of the greatest enemies of progress. It sneaks into the mind and plants seeds of doubt. It tells you that you're not good enough, that the mountain is too high, that the path is too hard. Fear whispers failure before you've even tried. It paralyzes action, clouds judgment, and weakens spirit. But fear is not truth. It is a shadow. It is a lie that grows only when you feed it, and the one thing that fear cannot survive in the presence of is faith. When you replace fear with faith, you shift your entire inner world. You begin to see what's possible instead of what's threatening. You begin to walk forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the one who does. Faith is not the absence of difficulty, it's the courage to move forward in spite of it. It's the quiet inner strength that says, even if I don't see the way, I know the way will appear. Fear will always focus on limitations. Faith focuses on possibilities. Fear says, what if I fail? Faith says, what if I succeed? Fear sees the storm and says, run. Faith sees the storm and says, peace, be still. The truth is, both fear and faith require you to believe in something you cannot yet see. The difference is what you choose to focus on. When you put your energy into faith, you give power to growth, to hope, to success, and to strength. You already have what it takes to overcome fear. You were not created to live in bondage to doubt. Inside of you there is a well of courage, a spirit of strength, and a heart that was made to rise. Fear might knock on the door, but faith doesn't have to let it in. Every time you choose to take a step forward despite your doubts, you're weakening the grip of fear and strengthening the muscle of faith. And like any muscle, faith grows with youth. It becomes stronger every time you lean into it. Every time you choose to believe instead of worry, every time you say, I may not know how, but I believe I can, start talking back to fear. When it tells you you're not enough, remind it that you are chosen, equipped, and empowered. When it tells you to stop, let your faith answer, I will not quit. Speak words of strength over your life. Say, I am bold, I am capable, I am moving forward with courage. Let those words sink deep into your spirit, because they are rooted in truth. You were not given a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Fear loses its grip when you stand on faith. Faith does not promise ease, but it promises victory. And with faith in your heart, you become unstoppable, not because you're perfect, but because you believe beyond the fear. So rise up, walk forward, and declare with all your heart, I will not be ruled by fear. I will be led by faith. The words you speak carry incredible power. They are not just sounds or noise. They are declarations, they are seeds, they are instruments that shape your future. When you speak victory, you attract victory. When you speak defeat, you invite defeat. Your words are constantly at work, either building you up or breaking you down. What you say about yourself becomes what you believe about yourself, and what you believe becomes what you live. That's why it's so important to speak words that are filled with faith, strength, and determination. Never say, I can't. Instead, say, I will find a way. Never say, I'm too weak. Say, I am growing stronger every day. Because every time you speak like that, you are training your mind to believe it and your heart to follow it. You were created with a voice, not just to communicate with others, but to affirm your purpose. Words have energy, and when they are rooted in belief, they have power to move mountains. Speak as though you already possess what you're working toward. Say, I am capable, I am disciplined, I am successful, I am filled with peace, I am an overcomer. Even if your circumstances haven't caught up yet, speak it anyway. Because your words set the direction for your life. You're not lying. You're aligning. You're aligning your speech with the potential that already lives inside of you. That kind of declaration invites hope. It stirs courage. It awakens faith. When you start your day with powerful words, your day begins to shift. Your attitude changes. Your energy rises. You begin to look at challenges differently. You stop saying, this is too hard, and start saying, this is an opportunity to grow. You stop saying, I don't know how, and start saying, I will learn. That shift in language creates a shift in mindset, and that mindset creates new action. New actions bring new results. It all begins with your words. Be careful not to speak against yourself. Don't sabotage your own future with negative confessions. Don't repeat what your fears are saying. Speak life, not defeat. Encourage yourself even when no one else does. Look in the mirror and declare what God says about you. Say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am more than a conqueror. I am blessed and highly favored. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Those are not just nice phrases. They are truth, and truth spoken consistently becomes your foundation. You have the authority to speak your world into alignment with your goals. Don't wait for everything to be perfect to start talking like a champion. Talk like one now. Speak the language of success, the language of faith, the language of persistence. And when you do, something inside you begins to shift. Your confidence rises, your fear shrinks, and you start to become exactly what you declare. So speak victory, speak progress, speak destiny, because what you say today shapes the life you will live tomorrow. Every single person walking this earth has limitations. There is no such thing as perfection. No one who has it all together all the time. We all have areas where we fall short, where we feel weak, where we wonder if we're enough. But the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is what they choose to focus on. You can spend your life dwelling on what you're not, on what you don't have, on what others do better than you. Or you can shift your focus to what you do have, because inside you there are strengths, talents, gifts, and potential that are uniquely yours. When you start giving your attention to those strengths, you begin to build momentum, and momentum creates breakthroughs. What you magnify becomes your reality. If you constantly magnify your limitations, they will grow bigger in your mind until they begin to feel like walls you can never climb. But if you magnify your strengths, even the smallest ones, they will become stepping stones that carry you forward. Maybe you're not the most skilled in every area, but there is something you can do. Focus on that. Build on that. Maybe you're not the loudest voice in the room, but your quiet consistency is powerful. Maybe you don't have all the resources, but you have the drive to keep going. And that can take you farther than talent alone ever could. Your mind is a spotlight. You can shine it on your fears, or you can shine it on your potential. When you dwell on what you can't do, you begin to feel powerless. You hesitate. You procrastinate. You stop trying. But when you shift and start thinking about what is possible, you awaken your inner power. You start taking action even if it's small, and small steps repeated daily lead to big transformation. You were not meant to live in comparison. What someone else can do is not your standard. Your standard is the best version of you. God didn't create you to be a copy. He created you to be original. Your combination of strengths is unlike anyone else's. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the full version of you. When you stop focusing on your lack and start investing in your ability, you become stronger, wiser, and more confident. The truth is, your limitations don't define you. Your mindset does. You can let your weaknesses hold you back, or you can choose to grow beyond them. It all starts with focus. So lift your eyes, focus on what's good in you. Focus on what you can improve, focus on what's working, and with that attitude, you'll find yourself rising higher, pushing through barriers, and becoming exactly who you were created to be. You may not be able to do everything, but you can do something. And that something done with passion and belief will carry you further than you ever imagined. Thinking you can is the spark that ignites the fire, but action is the flame that keeps it burning. It's not enough to simply believe. You must move. You must act. You must step out, even if you're unsure, even if the path ahead looks difficult. Determined optimism means having a heart full of belief and a will full of commitment. It's knowing deep down that things can improve, and then doing your part to make sure they do. It's standing up when everything in you wants to sit down. It's moving forward when fear says stop. Optimism without action is just hope. But when you mix belief with effort, that's when miracles begin to unfold. There will be days when doubt knocks on your door. There will be moments when you feel like giving up. But that's when you dig in, not back down. That's when you lean on faith and take the next step anyway. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need the courage to take the next step, and then the next. Success doesn't always come with a loud bang. Sometimes it comes quietly, after consistent steps taken with quiet confidence and relentless focus. Determined optimism is a mindset that says, I will not quit even if it's hard. I will not stop even if I fail. I will rise again because I believe the outcome is worth the effort. Action is the bridge between your dream and your destiny. It's the difference between wishing and winning. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to begin. That dream you carry in your heart is possible, but it demands your movement. No one else can walk your path for you. No one else can carry your purpose. It's yours, and it comes alive when you put your hands and heart to work. Determined optimism means you see the obstacles, but you also see the opportunities. It means you acknowledge the difficulty, but you choose to focus on the outcome. You don't deny the challenge. You rise above it with faith and grit. It's about making progress even when it's slow. It's about celebrating the small victories because they are proof that you're still moving forward. Every day you act in belief, you get stronger. Every step you take in hope builds momentum, and momentum changes everything. You were made to act. You were made to build, to create, to move with purpose. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It may never come. Start where you are. Use what you have. Take one faithful step today and watch how doors begin to open. The world doesn't respond to thoughts alone. It responds to action grounded in belief. Think you can, and then show it with everything you've got. That's the path to success. That's the way to victory, and that is the power of determined optimism in motion. Every dream begins as a seed, an idea, a vision, a quiet whisper in your heart that says, this is possible. And believing in that dream is the first step. But belief alone is not enough. Thinking you can sets the direction, but taking action is what turns that thought into something real. Determined optimism is the driving force that keeps you moving when the path gets tough. It's more than just a good attitude. It's a daily decision to rise, to act, to keep going, no matter what stands in your way. You don't wait until everything is perfect. You don't wait until you feel completely ready. You start where you are with what you have, and you move forward in faith. There will always be reasons to wait. The timing won't seem right. The resources may feel too few. The fear of failure might speak louder than your confidence. But if you wait until every condition is ideal, you'll be waiting forever. Miracles don't show up to the idle. They come to those who are moving, those who are walking with belief in their step and action in their hand. There's a power in beginning. There's momentum in motion. Even small steps taken consistently lead to big changes over time. Determined optimism is not about ignoring difficulties. It's about looking them in the eye and saying, you will not stop me. It's about choosing to act even when your emotions try to talk you out of it. It's waking up and showing up day after day, fueled by a belief that what you're doing matters, that your progress may be slow, but it's still progress, that each effort adds up, that one day the results will show, not because you had no struggle, but because you kept walking through it. You don't need extraordinary conditions to begin. You need extraordinary faith. Faith that says, even if I fail, I'll learn. Even if I fall, I'll rise again. Even if I'm scared, I'll still take the next step. That is the spirit of someone who wins, not someone with perfect plans, but someone with unstoppable persistence. Someone who understands that action paired with belief creates the future. Every person who has ever accomplished something great once stood where you are, unsure, nervous, but willing to move anyway. You are not waiting on a miracle. The miracle is waiting on you. It's waiting on your effort, your decision, your movement. The moment you start walking in determined optimism, the moment you say, I believe, and I'm willing to act on that belief, you start shifting your world. So today, don't just think you can show it. Start the project, make the call, take the risk, speak the truth. Do the thing that moves you closer to your dream. Act with courage. Act with hope. Act with determined optimism, and watch your life begin to change. Because miracles come not just to those who believe, but to those who believe enough to move. When you believe, truly believe with all your heart, you create a sacred space within yourself where divine power begins to work. It is not just positive thinking. It is spiritual alignment. It is your soul saying, I trust in something greater than what I see. Belief is the bridge between your human effort and God's limitless ability. You do your part, believe, move, take steps, and God begins to do his part, opening doors, shifting circumstances, strengthening your heart, and guiding your path. When you walk in faith, you are not walking alone. You are walking hand in hand with divine purpose. You are not just acting in your own strength, but allowing the infinite power of God to move through you. There is a powerful verse that says, according to your faith, it will be done unto you. That means God responds to your belief. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He doesn't need you to have all the answers. He needs your heart to say, I believe you can work through me. I believe you can lead me. I believe you can do what I cannot. That kind of faith activates the miraculous. That kind of belief lifts you beyond the natural into the supernatural. It turns the impossible into the possible, not because of who you are, but because of who God is working through you. Many people wait for a sign or a guarantee before they take a step. But belief doesn't work like that. Faith comes first and the results follow. Belief is not something passive. It is active. It means you wake up each day and speak hope over your life. It means you pursue your dream not in fear, but in the confidence that God is your partner. You don't have to force everything into place. You don't have to carry the full weight of the outcome. Your job is to believe. God's job is to make a way. When doubt creeps in, and it will, remind yourself that your belief is not in your own perfection. Your belief is in a perfect God who has never failed, never abandoned, and never made a mistake. Your belief says, even if I don't see how, I know you do. And that confidence gives you peace. It gives you strength. It gives you power to keep going when others would give up. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to trust. Your belief is the opening God uses to pour his favor, his wisdom, and his strength into your life. So don't be afraid to believe big. Don't be afraid to trust him with your dreams. Your belief is not weak. It is the most powerful force you have because through it God works. So declare today with boldness and peace, I believe, and because I believe, God is working through me. That is the kind of faith that moves mountains and transforms lives. Life will not always feel easy. The journey to success, to fulfillment, to becoming all you were meant to be, is filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments when you feel like stopping. There are times when the weight of it all presses heavily on your shoulders, when your progress feels painfully slow, when doubts echo louder than your dreams. But those are the moments that define you. That is where strength is built, in the fire of perseverance, in the struggle of trying again and again and again. You see, you were not made to quit. You were made to overcome. Deep within you is a power placed there by your Creator, a strength that doesn't give up, a spirit that refuses to be broken. Everyone faces trials. Everyone faces days where the darkness seems heavier than the light. But not everyone chooses to keep going. That's what separates those who reach their dreams from those who abandon them. It's not talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's the decision to keep moving forward even when it hurts, even when you're tired, even when nothing around you shows signs of progress. That decision, made over and over, builds a character that cannot be defeated. Faith is what carries you when your own strength begins to fade. It is the quiet voice that whispers, "Keep going," when everything else tells you to stop. Faith doesn't always take away the difficulty, but it gives you the courage to face it. It reminds you that you are not alone, that God is walking with you, guiding your steps, strengthening your hands, lifting you when you fall. And with Him, all things are possible, even victory through hardship. Sometimes the breakthrough is just one more step away. But if you give up, you'll never know how close you were. So hold on, keep believing, keep working, keep trusting. The pain you feel now is not the end of the story. It is part of your preparation. It is part of what is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. The pressure you're under is producing perseverance, and perseverance is producing power. There is a reward for those who don't quit, for those who stay faithful in the valley, for those who keep climbing when the summit is still out of view. You were built for this. You were made to rise. So if today feels heavy, remind yourself why you started. Remember that the road may be long, but you are not walking it in vain. Each step forward matters. Each small victory counts, and one day you'll look back and see how every trial led you closer to the purpose you were born for. So don't stop, not now, not here. Keep going, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because that's when breakthroughs happen. That's when character is forged. That's when faith becomes real. And that's when the impossible becomes possible. You are not defeated. You may have faced disappointments, endured setbacks, and walked through valleys of doubt, but those things do not define you. They do not have the final word over your life. The truth is, there is something greater within you than any obstacle ahead of you. You have the power to rise, to overcome, and to break through. It is not just about your circumstances. It is about your mindset. It's about the deep, unwavering belief that says, "I can." Not because everything is perfect, but because you know who you are, and more importantly, because you know whose you are. You were not created to live in defeat. You were created to walk in strength, to speak with confidence, and to act with faith. That power doesn't come from pretending that challenges don't exist. It comes from facing those challenges with a determined spirit. You may have moments of fear, but fear doesn't have to control you. You may have moments of failure, but failure doesn't have to define you. You have the ability to rise again, stronger and more focused than ever before. When you say to yourself, "I can," something shifts inside you. Your perspective changes. Instead of seeing walls, you start seeing doors. Instead of focusing on limitations, you begin focusing on possibilities. That one thought, "I can," is a seed that grows into confidence, resilience, and purpose. It becomes a foundation that no storm can shake. And when you add faith to that thought, when you say, "With God, all things are possible," you tap into a power that cannot be stopped. A divine force begins to move on your behalf, opening doors no one can shut and guiding your steps with purpose and peace. You are more than your past. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than the opinions of others. You are a person of potential, a vessel of purpose, a conqueror in the making. There may be giants in your path, but you are not alone. There may be storms around you, but you are held by grace. The truth is, you are able, not because you feel ready, but because you were made ready. Deep inside you is a reservoir of strength, placed there by the hand of your Creator, And when you think you can, you begin to draw from it. Speak it, believe it, act on it. Say to yourself every day, I can. Say, I am not defeated. I am not giving up. I am more than a conqueror. Because that is the truth. That is your identity. And when you walk in that truth, no challenge is too big, no dream is too far, and no setback is final. You can if you think you can. And when you believe with all your heart, you unlock the unstoppable force of faith. Keep moving forward. Keep standing tall, because the final truth is this: you are able. So go forward today with faith in your heart, courage in your step, and this unshakable truth ringing in your soul. You can if you think you can. And with God's help, there is nothing you cannot do.